Yes, I'm feeling a twinge of argumentativeness. In what sense does AI lack being? And I don't mean that, I mean, I guess it's argumentative, but, but if everything is...
You're quite right. AI lacks consciousness, not being.
I'm sorry?
AI lacks consciousness.
Yeah.
A computer is, but it doesn't know. It doesn't experience. But it is, you're right, it's not possible for there to be anything that lacks being, because if it lacked being, it couldn't exist.
Right.
Being is the medium from which everything, be it an atom or a universe or a planet, derives its existence. So you're right, AI, a computer system, a programmer, has being. But that doesn't make it conscious.
Well, so the being would be the first point, conscious being would be the second point. It interacts, it responds to stimuli, which would suggest, I mean, awareness of the type, but this is the key point. Where,
yes, you see the key. Sorry, Keith, I interrupted you. You can carry on.
No, I'm sure you get the point.
I get the point, and the presumption in what I think is your argument is that I, as a human being, am conscious or have consciousness. And when I tread on my cat's tail, it screeches, therefore it presumably feels the pain. So the cat also has consciousness. And you go on, and then at a certain stage, there's a line. And everything this side of the line has consciousness or is conscious, and everything the other side of the line, like stones and tables and glasses and computers, are not conscious or don't have consciousness. That's the argument. And then the question is, where exactly is that line? Does everything have a modicum of consciousness?
Right.
No. The question is the question is based on an assumption, namely that we as human beings have consciousness or are conscious. No, I'm afraid human beings are not conscious or not aware. Awareness is not the property of a human being, of a human mind or a human body. Only awareness is aware.
Right.
Nothing else is aware. There's no question of a computer ever becoming aware. There's no question of a cat or a dog being aware. There's no question of a human being being aware. Only awareness is aware. It is not we as people who are aware. It is we as awareness who are aware. And everything is a manifestation of the activity of that awareness. But that doesn't mean that everything that appears in awareness is itself aware. It's very easy to check this in your own experience. Would you agree, Keith, that your own thoughts appear in awareness? It's kind of obvious that thoughts, even, I mean, I know you share this understanding, but even someone who doesn't share this understanding would agree with us that our thoughts appear in consciousness, in awareness. I always use the words awareness and consciousness synonymously. So we agree that thoughts appear in awareness. They're not put into awareness from the outside. They arise from within awareness. Therefore, in the ultimate analysis, what is a thought made of?
Awareness.
Awareness. It's just like this. For the same reason a current arises in the ocean, it's only made of the ocean. A thought arises in awareness, can only be made of awareness. Now, is a thought itself aware? For instance, can a thought hear our conversation? Can a thought feel sorrow or taste coffee? Can a thought have an experience? No. So a thought is an object that appears in awareness. It is made of awareness, that's obvious to us all, but it is not itself aware. Now, if that is our actual experience, I'm not talking philosophy here, this is just an experience that everyone can verify themselves. So if we have the experience of an object appearing in awareness, made of awareness, but is not itself aware, then why couldn't this be an object that appears not in a limited awareness, not in a finite mind, but why couldn't an object such as a glass appear in a universal awareness, be made of that awareness, and yet not itself be aware? In other words, it would appear as an inanimate object,
Right.
just as our thoughts are inanimate objects appearing in our minds. It's an instance of the same fact of experience. So a computer, ultimately everything is an appearance in awareness, made of awareness. But that doesn't mean to say that things have awareness. Awareness is not a property of any of its individual parts. Awareness is the nature of the whole. The individual parts are just how that awareness, how the activity of that awareness appears from the localized perspective of a finite mind.
Right. So back to one of your first points. Do we...
Just keep using the
Sorry.
so everyone
Yes.
can hear it.
Do we have awareness?
No. Well, it depends what you mean by we. If you
The
mean
person.
No.
How is that different from an AI program?
An AI program doesn't have awareness.
Nor do I.
No, only awareness.
Only awareness
has
has
awareness.
it.
Not has awareness. Only awareness is aware.
Right.
So an AI program, a computer, will never acquire awareness. However sophisticated it becomes, it will never become aware. However sophisticated your thoughts are, they will never become aware.
Nor will I, the person.
No.
Again.
But because ultimately, you as a person, you don't really exist. The person doesn't have its own discrete, independent existence. The only entity, which is of course not an entity, the only thing, which is of course not a thing, there is this infinite, indivisible whole,
Right.
reality, consciousness. From its point of view, which is of course the only real point of view because it is all that is real, there are no parts, no objects, no person, no computer, no glass, no table. People, glasses, computers, tables, these are only such from the localized perspective of a finite mind.
Right. They're waves on the ocean.
So from this localized perspective, the one infinite reality appears as a multiplicity and diversity of objects and selves. That's just an appearance. What's it an appearance of? The one infinite, indivisible reality. So from its point of view, from the point of view of reality, there's the whole debate about whether people have consciousness, whether computers have consciousness. It's a moot subject. There are no individual people, objects, selves, entities, either to have consciousness or not to have consciousness. It's a conversation that is based on a faulty assumption, namely that human beings have consciousness or are conscious. But
Right.
once we realize that only the one infinite whole is not is conscious, but is consciousness, is awareness itself. That once that is clear, then the conversation about whether computers will one day become conscious or not, or where the line is drawn between those that are conscious and those that aren't, all this is just based on the old paradigm.
Yeah.
This old, worn-out paradigm that human beings are discrete, separate, independently existing entities that are born, they acquire consciousness, and so on. This is just an old, worn-out model. It's like believing the Earth was flat or the sun goes around the Earth. It's just an old paradigm that is hopefully in its final stages.
Obviously, I'm buying everything you're saying, but at one point there was a distinction between AI will never have what we have, and
Sometimes I have to go in steps,
yeah, okay.
Keith. I can't go all the way there in one step. So that was a concession to the assumption. I don't mean to say that Mark was assuming this, but it was a concession that was legitimate or I felt it was legitimate in the context of the conversation. But now that you press me, and I like it that you press me. Now that you press me a little bit further, I have to contradict what I previously said, and be a little bit more radical with, because you demand it. You're not satisfied, and you're quite right not to be satisfied with my original answer. It was a halfway step, but that prepared the ground for us to be able to have this conversation. So I'm glad you pressed me on that.
Thank you.
Okay, dinner time.